When we first wrote our program to encrypt the plain text using AES, you would have noticed that we have used this import base64, and using this library we have used several times like base64, B64 encode, then we have used decode UTF-8. So in this tutorial we will see what are these encoding and decoding mechanisms. So the best way is to just search for what is UTF-8. So UTF-8 is a character encoding system that can represent every character in the Unicode. So this is used to encode the characters into the bits. So for example, if there is 72 is assigned to the letter A, I'm taking it only as an example. So it will just assign that value 72 to the letter A of our plain text. Whereas when we search for base64 library in Python, it is to just give the encodings like we have seen in hexadecimal that we denote 10 by A, 11 by B, and so on. So these encodings are different than UTF-8. It is to represent those number of bits into the characters. For example, if it is B64, then it is a method to encode 64 bits into some printable characters. We can see this by creating a new file. This will be, let us name as encoding.py, and we will see the difference. So first of all, let us import base64. Now there is some plain text, and plain text is hello world. Now we just convert this plain text into the encoding by UTF-8, and then we print this A. When we run this, we will find it has given B hello world. So this B means it is bytes value of the hello world. Now if we just encode it into the base64 dot B64 encode, and we enter here plain text, then we print this B, and let us see what happens. So it has given us an error, and this error is because it takes only the bytes value. So if it will have the bytes value, then it will convert them into the appropriate printable characters. So we can just use it encode UTF-8, and now we run this program. Now we see that this is hello world and this is the byte value, and then again there is written B and it is a string SGV. This means that those bits, those 64 bits, are expressed in these letters. For a better understanding, we can take one more example where we write it as base64 B16 and encode the plain text to UTF-8, and now we run this program. Okay, we have not printed it, So print C. Now we run this program, and if you notice, now these values are 4, 8, 6, 5, 6, C, C and F. So the maximum letter value is, which you will see here, it is F only. So this is the hexadecimal representation of the bits. This is the difference between the base 64, base 16 encoding and the UTF-8 encoding. Now let us understand what is happening in our program. So this method, which we have used as definition encrypt AES 128 GCM plain text, so it takes plain text as an input and it returns as output these four values. And here we have used these encodings. But before this, we have used encoding as an input to the cipher, that is plain text encode UTF-8. Because the AES function or this AES library, this method AES, it works only on the bytes and it doesn't work on the string directly. So we have first converted into the bytes. When it has been converted into the bytes, then it gave us ciphertext and it gave us the tag value. So the ciphertext we have returned as base64 B64 encode the ciphertext, and then we have decoded it back to the UTF-8 so that it is in the readable format. Now, when we were trying to decrypt the program, we see that encoded key, encoded nonce, encoded ciphertext, and encoded tag. Now, ciphertext, we replace it by base64 B64 decode, so that we have the values of the bits directly, or I say the bytes directly. And now if you see, when we are using the decrypt function, we are directly entering ciphertext and we are not using any kind of encoding because it is already in the bytes format. This can be checked by using a print statement over here. We enter ciphertext at this state is, and we print it ciphertext. You will notice that this value of the ciphertext is in bytes. The ciphertext at this state is this. And if you want to check what was the ciphertext before it, you can just print ciphertext at this stage and you use print and ciphertext. Now this will not be in the bytes format, and it has shown the error also. Somewhere ciphertext at this stage. Okay, so encoded ciphertext. Okay, so we have just used the wrong word. This is the encoded ciphertext. Now we click again to the run, and now you will see that the ciphertext is actually a string of characters. But after the encoding, the ciphertext becomes the bytes, which is going to be the input to this cipher for the decryption. And when we return the plain text, now this plain text was actually the value in, sorry, I used the C language command. So the plain text was actually at the byte stage at this position. Okay, today we will not attend the class. So it is in the byte format. The B is written in the front of it. It is not in the string. After this decoding, it has become into the string. So in this tutorial, we just learned what are these encodings and how they are being used.